Hello everyone, thank you for joining us in this edition of The Inside. We're coming to you from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. Today we are analyzing issues concerning the more than 8-year-long armed conflict and decades-old Anglophone problem, Anglophone crisis and Anglophone problem in the English-speaking Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. And we are looking into what the Regional Assembly of the Southwest region has been doing on the ground, its contribution to efforts to resolve the more than 8-year-long armed conflict and the decade-old Anglophone problem in the two English-speaking regions, but more specifically for the Southwest region of the country. We are looking at the challenges that the institution is facing on ground and future perspectives. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today is BAKOMA ELANGO Zaccheus. He's the president of the Southwest Regional Assembly. Mr. President, welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Babila, and thank you for inviting me to this program.
Right, Mr. President, we want to look through your lenses to understand, to have an understanding of the actual situation on ground, the security situation in your area of command, the Southwest region of the country.
A couple of years back, when this unfortunate situation started, today we can say without fear of contradiction that the situation has tremendously improved. People can now travel within the region, from Jan division to Kumba, from Manu division to Meme, through Kumba to Boya, from Kupe Maninguba through Kumba to Boya, from Lebialem through Chang, through Manfe to Kumba. I think the situation has improved, but as we all know, it will not be in a day's time or in 1 or 2 years that we'll find the situation the way it was before the crisis started. But I want to say without any fear of contradiction that the situation has tremendously improved. The testimony of the fact is that in the BLM schools have resumed, in Manu schools have resumed, in Indian division schools have resumed, in Kupe Maningua, in Manu division. And if we witness what happened during the last Youth Day celebration, for a couple of years now, this year 2025, the march past in all this divisional and sub-divisional headquarters, we found children marching in their school uniforms. That's something we had not had for a long time. And so this is an indication that peace is returning gradually but steadily to the Southwest region.
So are we saying that the crisis is over in the Southwest region?
We are not saying that the crisis is over, we are saying that the crisis is gradually dying off. The crisis is gradually dying off. People who were hitherto displaced, we call them internally displaced people, they have come back. The price of cocoa, we know that the main activity in the Southwest is agriculture, and the population, more than 50–60% of the population, they are cocoa farmers. With the new dispensation, the price of cocoa has increased. So farmers who abandoned their farms and they were struggling elsewhere out of the region have returned to our villages. I think life is coming back. We must be very sincere to say that life is coming back.
I listened to the testimony of someone who recently traveled from Douala, passing through Boya to Kumba, and he was shocked when he found the corpse of a man lying along the road around a corner on the Boya-Kumba highway. And to him, this is very critical. To him, when a life goes down, It's an indication that the situation is still very bad. The situation is still worsening. To him, it's an indication that there is still a lot to be done to improve on the situation on the ground. What do you think about this?
Yeah, but he was traveling. He did not know the circumstances under which the man died, and the corpse was found along the road. He cannot, by that, say that the fact that he saw the corpse along the road means that the crisis. We travel to Kumba, we travel to Bangem, we travel to Manfe. So what I'm trying to say is that we must be honest to ourselves. The situation as it is today is so far better than the situation as it was 7 to 8 years ago. The situation has improved. So he saw the corpse, but he continued his journey and he go to Kumba.
You, Mr. President, the situation prevailing now, which according to you is much more better than some years back, there is improvement. Is it the result of military action on the ground? Is it the result of the actions undertaken by some stakeholders, including the Southwest Regional Assembly, the administration, or the people are simply tired, or the separatists are out of means to continue fighting?
I better not speak for the main actors who are doing sparing us to intend to ensure that peace, total peace returns to the Southwest. Here I make allusion to the administration of the region, that is the governor of the Southwest region, the 6 senior divisional officers and all the divisions, because they are responsible for the maintenance of law and order. I equally make allusion to the head of the Defense and Security Forces. They are doing a marvelous job under the leadership of the governor, who is the chief shepherd of the region. He's responsible for security and maintenance of law and order. But I want to say that other stakeholders are equally contributing to ensure that peace returns to the Southwest region. The Regional Assembly, since its inception after the elections of December 2020, we took off in 2021. I think we have been working tirelessly to ensure that we add our own, we bring our own contribution to this peace initiative. We try to add, because we think that if every stakeholder adds one peace building block, this situation will be something of the past. So when we started, our actions and activities, we started in the urban centers. We started in the urban centers. Urban centers mean like we take a division like Fako division, we take Boya, we were in Boya, and in Limbe, in Moyoka, and Kumba. But as the years passed by, we said to ourselves that we have been chosen by the population to cater for the interests of our people. And our people do not only reside in the urban centers. So we decided to go further. We moved to subdivisional headquarters. We moved to villages to dispel the allegation which hitherto our region had been divided into 3 zones. They said the red, the yellow, and the green belts. Today I can say without any fear of contradiction that the Southwest remains the Southwest. Our activities are everywhere. We do not have the phenomenon of zones. We carry out our activities everywhere, and the population has been very collaborative, because you agree with me, everybody needs drinking water. If we have a project to provide drinking water, everybody needs drinking water. We need to provide solar street lights, everybody enjoys it. We have very enclave villages where we have provided electricity using solar panel, everybody enjoys it. So we think that we are here to cater for the interests of our people, to improve on the living condition of our people, and the people to have welcomed, the population has welcomed this initiative by government, and I think we are collaborating, the regional assembly and the population, we are all collaborating to ensure that these facilities are put in place in the supreme interest of our people to better the living conditions of our people, because we are people-oriented regional assembly.
President, are you saying that anyone coming to the Southwest region today can visit any part of the region, can go to anywhere in the region from the major urban centers to the hinterlands? Is that what you're saying? There are no more red zones?
We do not have zones. We have the regional, the Southwest region. What I was trying to tell you is that initially when this issue started, at the beginning of this issue, some observers had divided the region into zones. That, oh, you can go here, you cannot go here. So that's why they came up with red, yellow and green. But today we say that there are no zones. We are in the Southwest region, and the regional assembly carries out activities, execute projects in all our subdivisions. You go to Bakassi Peninsula, all the subdivisions we are working. In the Komibali we are working, in Toko we are working. We are presently doing a road. And everybody, so in Akwaya we are working. If you know something, if you know what Akwaya means, to you, if you did a bit of geography in primary school, and you studied something about Akwaya, but we are working in Akwaya.
On the 31st of December 2024, in his Youth Day message to the nation, to young people in particular, the President of the Republic once more called on the separatist fighters to drop their guns and come out of the bushes and be reintegrated into the normal life trend to the DDR centers. And he went further to say that those who will not do so, those who will persist in the way of violence, will have an unpleasant fate, referring to military action on the ground. And the soldiers have been tracking down and killing the separatist fighters, even though they have been caused from within and without Cameroon for an end to military action on the ground. Many persons have said that there is no military solution to the problem on the ground. And the last came from Professor Charlie Gabriel Mock, speaking on La Vérité en Face over Equinoxe television. He said that if the government does not go to the root causes of the problem, if all the stakeholders do not handle the root causes of the problem, there will be no solution. And the head of state is still persisting in the military direction.
No, I agree with the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya. Ours is a state of law. Cameroon is a state of law. The President has been like a father, like any other father. You think that your child maybe is a bit wayward, and as we say, we are Bantu people now. We have an adage that if you have a stubborn child, you beat the child, you don't send the child out of the house, because when you send the child out of the house, witches and wizards may do something to the child that will be unpleasant to you. So when you beat the child, the stubborn child, you send the child under the bed. So that is why the President, with his largesse, he said, drop down your hands, calm, we'll get you into the DDR center, we'll forgive you. That's now, for those who may still those children, because they are all his children, as President of the Republic is the father of the nation, those who continue to be stubborn, he will use the arm of the law.
By killing them, the soldiers have been tracking the soldiers, the separatist fighters, and killing. One of the recent killings occurred in the northwest region. One of the self-proclaimed generals, separatist generals, was gunned down. Is that the way to go?
Kill if they do, the soldiers kill those who also want to kill, not only the soldiers, but who want to attack, maltreat, and kill innocent Cameroonians. So if will you allow a situation where gangsters who carry arms to be terrorizing innocent people who want to live in their villages quietly, who want to send children to school? I'm sure that you certainly will not condone the situation like that.
Mr. President, let's go to the newsstands, and we are taking a look at what the newspapers reported this week. After the press review, we are talking about the missions of the Southwest Regional Assembly, or the regional assemblies in the English-speaking Northwest and Southwest regions of the country, what the Southwest Regional Assembly has been doing on the ground, the actions undertaken so far, the achievements made so far, the challenges, and of course, future perspectives, and more importantly, its contribution to efforts to resolve the conflict that's been pulling on, that's been raging for over 8 years now, and the Anglophone problem that's been there for several decades. We're coming back after press review. The Guardian Post reports that Cameroon has been ranked among the world's most corrupt nations again. Another issue of the paper says armed conflict in the Northwest and Southwest regions. Born again Eric Tato enrolls in 15 world-class universities. The cessationist leader is reported to have condemned kidnappings and actions that put school children, hospital staff, and churches at risk. The Horizon on appeasement mission, Ngongo at Tanganji, see red in Kuseri. The paper makes a reference to the protests that emanated from the visit of the state officials, notably the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, to the flood-hit areas of the far north region of the country on the heels of Territorial Administration Minister Tanganji Paul. Newswatch reports that Minister of State Ferdinand Gongo promised to faithfully report the plight of the population of the flood-affected areas of the far north region to the President of the Republic. Cameroon Tribune highlights the worries of inhabitants of the far north region, including infrastructural deficiency, insecurity, and management of natural catastrophes. Another issue of the National Daily analyzes what provoked the problem over the creation of the Mabetbet National Park in the Far North region. Cameroon Insider, Far North, President Biya sends emissaries to evaluate situation. The paper tells its readers that social tension and humanitarian concerns plaguing some communities in the Far North region of Cameroon have come under sharp focus, drawing significant attention from the government lately, and the President of the Republic dispatched the Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, Ferdinand Gongo, and the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Tanganji, to discuss with locals and find ways of better handling their grievances and advancing important development projects. As highlighted by the Guardian Post, in response to President Paul Biya's Youth Day message, the ICT University founder initiates a 1 trillion francs CFA drive to boost the economy of his country. According to the Guardian Post, the Logun and Shari division renewed its covenant with the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, after the fruitful encounter with the head of state envoy, Ferdinand Gongo. As reported by the Median, at 92 years and counting, President Paul Biya is hale and sound for the October 2025 presidential election. Another issue of Cameroon Tribune reports the dismissal of 300 civil servants from the state payroll. The Post carries a message of hope. Northwest Public Works delegate foresees completion of Ndunkambe Road by December. Within the lines of municipal updates, prominent elite Dr. Chi Asafo salutes the dawn of a new era as Fongwashi is enthroned in Akum in the Northwest region. The Post tells its readers that The Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Mutaze, is lobbying investors to raise 280 billion francs CFA for development projects. Right, Mr. President, I want you to edify us, remind us the missions of the regional assemblies in the northwest and southwest regions of the country.
We have one cardinal mission, is to improve on the living conditions of our people. The regional assembly has been created to find local solutions to local problems. What do I mean by that? If, for example, a community needs a borehole, they don't need to go to Yaoundé as before. They need to address that issue to the regional assembly. If they need a classroom or they lack benches, they address the issue to the regional assembly and we find solutions to the problem. So that is our mission and that is why the head of state put in place the regional assembly. You complain that the system was centralized. I am putting in place a structure which will facilitate or which will examine your grievances and find local solutions, and we have been doing that. We have intervened in various domains. So this is how we operate. We are a people-oriented assembly. We get to the population, they express their needs to us, what they need, and on the basis of the means we have, we try to address and to their worries. For example, we have built classrooms in all the 6 divisions in localities where they have the need for classrooms. We have built facilities in public hospitals because we are responsible for building and equipping regional and district hospitals. We have 17 in the region. And so we are doing that. If you just drive to the district regional hospital annex, you will see what the regional assembly is doing. We are building a pediatric center there, a 1-floor story building, and we shall equip it this year. In Kumba, at the regional hospital annex, we have built an ultra-modern, magnificent administrative block, which is already operational. We have equipped it. Because the idea, the reason, is because when that hospital was transformed from a district hospital to a regional hospital annex, more doctors were posted to Kumba and they did not have consultation spaces, they didn't have offices of consultation. So after consulting the management committee of the hospital and the administration of the hospital, we decided to build this facility to enable the administration liberate the existing colonial structure. Because you know that hospital was built before independence, and other structures were added after independence. So now we have more specialists coming to me. We are equally building, we are almost complete with the construction of a hemodialysis center at the Kumba Regional Hospital Annex. You know, for now, in the Southwest region, we have just one in Boya. And since the regional councillors reflected and took a decision that Kumba now being upgraded to a regional hospital annex, and it's like a hub for the population from Manyo division, from Kupe Maninguba, from Jan division, from there, they passed through Kumba to come to Boya. So they thought that another center should be built. We have built it, and we shall equip it. We have already budgeted, the contract has already been awarded. If you have your local representatives in Kumba, they should go to the regional hospital annex, and they will see the structure about 95% complete. And we are doing it in Bangem. We are building Mother and Child Center in Bangem. We have built one in Buti. We are building one in Kunotiti. So we are building all over the place. In Manfi District Hospital, which was a victim of arson, we're presently building a theater, a surgical block. This year, 2025, we are budgeted to equip it so that the block should go functional. We have built a Mother and Child Center at the Manfi District Hospital. That is in the domain of it. And in other domains, I think we are doing quite a marvelous job to the satisfaction of our population.
Qualifying what you've been doing on the ground so far as marvelous, but critics and observers still think that the regional assemblies within the framework of the special status, Northwest and Southwest regions, is more or less an empty container given to Anglophones, given to Cameroonians from the Northwest and Southwest regions to deceive them somehow. What is your response to this?
I think, and I may be right, to say that our detractors who say the regional assemblies, I've had to speak for the Southwest Regional Assembly, the regional assembly is not doing anything. Cameroonians who do not go to their villages, I want to challenge them. When did they last go to their villages? I want to take the case of the Southwest. How many of those distractors from Akwaya have been to their villages in the last 5 years? From Dikomebalwe, how many of them have been to their villages? Because those are from Toko, those are very enclave places. How many of them have been there? It is because they don't go home, they don't go to their villages, so they sit in Douala, Yaoundé, and maybe elsewhere out of the country and say they don't see. I think we are doing quite we're trying. You know, the Nigerian writer Chinua said in one of his novels, Things Fall Apart, that the lizard which jumps from an iroko tree will praise itself first if nobody did so. So I think that with the little means that has been put at our disposal, the Southwest Regional Assembly has moved mountains. The population, those of them who live in the Southwest region, will tell you that since the creation of the Regional Assembly, we are trying in our own little way. But in that way, I would just want to say that the Regional Assembly in 5 years cannot do what the state has not done in 60 years. Cameroon became independent in 1961. That's about 44, 43 years. We are just 4 years in office, but I think we are trying.
What you're saying looks quite interesting, or sounds quite interesting. But then, those who have not been going to their villages, as you mentioned, will talk about the enclave nature of the hinterlands, which you mentioned. Recently, we saw a video of persons transporting a corpse to Bafakabalwe in very horrible conditions. The corpse in a casket on a motorbike because the road is not motorable, and the people are compelled at some points to be pushing the bike to carry the coffin on their heads and things like that. What are you doing about that?
Like the state of Cameroon cannot do everything within. We work, even the state, when the state draws up her budget, the budget cannot do all the roads. The budget of Ministry of Public Works cannot do all the roads of Cameroon in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Not possible. I just want our compatriots to be honest to themselves. They should not criticize, they should stop criticizing for the sake of, they just want to criticize. I call that cheap publicity, so that they should. But they should be honest to recognize that with the allocations put at the disposal of the Regional Assembly, the Regional Assembly is trying to do something. The Regional Assembly is not only intervening in the domain of public works, we are intervening in other domains, public health, secondary education, water and energy. There are so many other social domains. So with what has been put at our disposal, we are trying. Maybe today, Bafakabale, the road access is not good, but one day we will get there. Let them be optimistic. That is what I want to say to them. I want to appeal to them to be optimistic, to have faith in the system. We are trying and progress. Rome was not built in a day. And Rome was not built in a day. So progressively we shall get there.
Now, give us an understanding of how your teams are deployed to the different parts of the region, especially in areas away from the urban centers, in Boya, in Kumba, in Limbe, even in Mutengene, Tiko. Uh, it wouldn't be very much difficult, especially in the urban centers. But in areas far away from the urban centers, tell us how your teams go into those places to make feasibility studies, to carry on with some of the actions that you enumerated earlier.
Although the seat of the Regional Assembly by law is at the headquarters of the region as an administrative unit, that's what the law provides. But the Regional Assembly has as jurisdiction the entire region. So we intervene, we carry out our activities and execute our projects in the 6 divisions of our region. So we are, as I say, we privilege the bottom-top approach. We do not sit in Boya and decide or impose a project in a particular locality. We are 90 of us in the regional assembly. Unfortunately, 2 died. 2 of our regional councillors have died. One from Kopo Manigua, the second-class chief of Tombel, and one other councillor from Kumba 2. So they passed away. We are 88. So we sit. What happens? How do we come about identifying and validating our projects? We organize town hall meetings. We get our colleagues to get to the base. The local population express their needs. You agree with me that the number of projects that we execute, we earmark for execution in a given year, cannot be commensurate to the number of projects proposed by the base. So, but we sit with them, we agree. When the projects come at the level of the executive, we are 8, and the executive, all the 6 divisions are represented in the executive. Because in the executive, that's what we call the regional executive council. We are permanent work on a daily basis. So we gather this information, and on the strength of our location that we have, we try to see how we can distribute it among the 6 regions. That is how we function. So we may not give a particular division may not only benefit from health. We try to see how you can have something for health, something for public works, something for water, just that's how we do. So our locations are known by all and sundry, and we do not generate income. All our funding comes from the central government, and government has been very faithful to its promise. So the money is always made available at our disposal. So when we identify those projects, we come up with a budget, and the councillors, the regional councillors, will examine the budget. If they have questions to ask, they ask. If they have proposals or modifications, so we do just that. I think so far as the president of the regional executive council, which is the executive and administrative arm of the regional assembly, and when we sit and president of the regional assembly, because by law the president of the regional assembly is president 3 times. He presides over the executive council, the 8 members in the executive. He presides over the regional assembly when the assembly is meeting 90, and he's also the president of the House of Divisional Representatives, because the regional assembly of the Northwest and the Southwest have 2 houses. So that's why we say they have both houses of chiefs and that of divisional representatives. So we try to associate everybody. Be they the population member who are not members of the regional assembly, members of the regional assembly, that those are on the deliberative organ, and the 8 of us in the executive.
Right. A little above 4 years ago, when these institutions, the regional assemblies, were being established alongside the regional councils in the other 8 regions, of the country, there were a lot of contrary views. There were many observers who said that these regional assemblies in the northwest and southwest regions will serve no purpose, will not solve the problem on ground. Of course, the problem is still there, but are your actions on ground changing perceptions?
Normal human beings, you have those who are pessimists. They think that it will not work, it will not happen. But time has disproved them. When we started, we were voted into office 1 month after, oh, we don't see what the Regional Assembly is doing, we don't. When we started doing it, the same people who said they were not seeing what we were doing, they were not seeing, well, because some of them wanted to see only in Boya. I think they were not seeing anything in Boya, visible in Boya. But they did not even go to Nanga, Boasa, Lekumbi. They just after Bekongo. They didn't go to see how we were trying to get electricity to those 3 villages so that the population there can also use refrigerators, can watch television, can use pressing irons. They didn't go there. They will, oh, we are not seeing what the Regional Assembly is doing. So I think now they are beginning to understand and accept that the putting in place of the Regional Assembly by the President of the Republic was really timely. It has gone a long way to attend to some of their worries.
Now, Mr. President, tell us more about the contribution of the Regional Assembly in efforts to resolve the conflict in your area of command in the Southwest region. What have you been doing to push forward the peace agenda, to push forward efforts, to enhance efforts to restore peace and normalcy? Not only that, but to put an end to the decade-old Anglophone problem, to provide lasting solutions to this problem.
The President of the Republic, in his usual magnanimity, and after listening to the voices and the pleas and the cries of the English-speaking population, decided to create special status, grant special status to the 2 English-speaking regions. But as I said earlier, I beg to speak only for the Southwest region, for which I am responsible as the President of the Regional Assembly, which is a regional local authority. So the structures have been put in place. We have a bicameral assembly. Our colleagues of the other side of the Mongo do not have. We function like a parliament. We have the House of National Representatives and the House of Chiefs. When we meet in the Regional Assembly, issues to be examined and discussed in the Regional Assembly are tabled before the Regional Assembly, the 90 inclusive. Thereafter, we break up into 2 houses. The House of Chiefs, there are 20 of them, although one died, as I said a while ago. The House of National Representatives, we are 70, one equally died. And so now, in the House of National Representatives, I sit as President of the House of National Representatives according to the law. The President of the House of Chiefs, who is Vice President, who doubles as Vice President of the Regional Executive Council, sits and presides over the deliberations of the House of Chiefs. So those issues are examined by the House of the National Representatives. 24 hours thereafter, the law demands that we forward to the House of Chiefs if there is a particular issue to be examined, and the House of National Representatives examines it as taking a position. So they forward to the House of Chiefs, indicating their position on that particular issue. So the House of Chiefs now examines it. It's like a second reading, and if they have, they may either validate the position of the House of National Representatives or have a contrary position. If they have a contrary position, they forward it, they return the deliberation to the House of Divisional Representatives. If the House of Divisional Representatives maintains its original position, they will now forward it again to the House, because we're in a democracy, forward to the House of Chiefs. But the law indicates that if this misunderstanding persists for a long time, the House of Divisional Representatives will vote the particular deliberation and forward to the President of the Regional Executive Council for execution. But fortunately for us, since we started, we have not had that experience. And so that is an aspect of the special status. The other 8 French-speaking regions do not have that arrangement.
What's the state of relations between the divisional house, the House of Divisional Representatives, and the House of Chiefs? In the Northwest region, there is an apparent conflict. How is the situation in the Southwest Regional Assembly?
I don't know what is happening in the North, but I think in the Southwest, the relationship and the collaboration is cordial, because both members of both houses have come to the conclusion that we are all working in the interests of our population. Since we are a people-centered assembly, we are just coming out of a difficult and unfortunate situation, and our people have gone through a lot of stress. So fortunately for us in the Southwest Regional Assembly, the 92 less 2 who passed away realized that we need to put our heads together to see how we can foster the development of our region, to rekindle the peace which we hitherto enjoyed. So I think the relationship has been very cordial. We have a very good working relationship. The two houses collaborate a lot.
In one of his recent statements, public statements, that was sometime last year or so, the member of the upper house of parliament, Senator Mbela Mukichas, said that the reconstruction, or generally speaking, the solution to the problem in the Northwest and Southwest regions has to start with the reconstruction of minds. Perceptions have to be changed. Mindsets have to be changed. What are you doing in this perspective at the level of the Southwest Regional Assembly? Have you been talking to some of those inhabitants of the Southwest region who are at the extreme end, demanding for independence of former British Southern Cameroons, demanding for cessation or nothing else?
We have to do a lot to change the mindset of our people. I think we have to think differently. But those of us who are home, who have opted to stay home, I think we are working in that direction. But you agree with me that most of the problems that we have today, the main actors are elsewhere. But those of our competitors, our brothers and sisters who have opted to live in our region, to live in our country, and we are trying to look at things differently. Cessation, if we want to say, we succeed to you live in Douala. I mean, the average Cameroonian of this extraction, we have relatives on the other side of the Mungo. So if we have to break up, what becomes of our brothers and sisters who have settled on the other side of the Mungo? I think globally, our people think that we are one country, we are an indivisible country. The founders of this country had decided there is no arrangement which has never had some friction. Even in your home with your wife and your children, there are times that you disagree. But the important thing is to agree after you have disagreed. I think we are gradually and progressively agreeing, and the majority of our population, I speak for those who live in this region, they think that mistakes were made along the line, but we should try to amend and see how we can forge ahead.
We're going to take some interviews now, and we'll be right back in some few minutes.
It is scandalous to read such a message from the governor of the Adamawa region. What is happening before our eyes is really regrettable because it goes in gross violation of the social pact that exists between the citizens of Cameroon and the authorities that govern them. This is in violations of the fundamental right enshrined in the Constitution. It is not just about Honorable Cabral Libi, it's about the violations of the right of movement of every Cameroonian and the violations of the right of every citizen in exercising his political duties or activities. So we cannot tolerate such abuse of power by the Minister of Territorial Administration, who is acting today to be the law. How can he explain that a parliamentarian who is even a beneficiary of what we call parliamentary immunity is today restricted his movements, freedom of movement, and freedom of political activities? I want to believe that such excesses will not prosper because we believe firmly in the respect of the Constitution and in the respect of the institution. So what is happening is scandalous, and I think it should not prosper, and that I seize this opportunity to invite the governor of the Adamawa region to immediately withdraw such a communique because it's in gross violations of the rules and regulations, and it's an abuse of power and even an insult or disregard to the judicial power that be. We are the Cameroonian Party for National Reconciliation, where I am one of the spokespersons. We are a Republican party, and we all have respect for the institutions of this country. We will not allow that an administrator who is supposed to act within the armpits of the law violate our fundamental rights. So we have a leader, Honorable Cabral Libi, who has always told us that is fervently attached to the observance of the rule of law and to the institutions that govern us. So I don't think that we'll allow ourselves to be intimidated by these excesses and abuse of the authorities that be today and that have the privilege to preside over the destiny of this country. We'll continue to vacate to our occupations freely because we believe that Cameroon is a state of law, and that in a state of law, the rule of law should be respected. So there is no room for any intimidation, or we will not accept such violations of our rights when we know very well that we are protected by the constitutions and the laws that organize the activities of political parties.
I think this tension is because lots of political parties have not prepared. They have not prepared anything for the elections, the upcoming elections. So to get some value from the people, they need to create scenes which will make sure that everybody talks about them every blessed day. With the CPDM, for example, we prepare elections after the last election. So by the time elections are coming up, we don't see much of running up and down the elder skeleton because everything is virtually set already for elections. We have no problem. Our national president is the candidate, automatic candidate. Until there's a change, he's the one who's our candidate. So we have no problem with that. But look at a party like Mr. Cabral Libi's party, for example. By taking the misunderstanding that they have to court, instead of sitting and talking, he has caused a split in his party. And once you have a split in your party, there are factions. And these factions are the ones that are mounting the tension because this man is against this part of that party is going in to support President Paul Biya. Part is supporting maybe Cabral Libi. So by so doing, there's going to be tension. It's normal. At the level, there's tension. And for them to a little bit elevate this tension, they're transferring it to the population. So you should feel what they are feeling. And the instrument, what the instrument they're using the press. Because rallies is difficult down for them because there's a question mark as who is the president of PCRN? Why do you reckon there's a question mark? So the details causes tension that you and me are feeling. A party like CRM, for example, they were aware that if you don't have a parliamentarian or a municipal councillor, normally you cannot have a presidential candidate. They were very much aware. And you have a municipal councillor or regional councillor or parliamentarian or senator or something like that. If you don't have any, you can't participate in presidential elections. They were aware of this 7 years ago. They were aware 5 years ago, 5 years ago, that these are the consequences. But what is happening today is they want to force it through by interpreting law the way they want it to be interpreted to look different. Meanwhile, they knew of the consequences of their act by not going for elections, by boycotting elections, parliamentary, regional, and municipal elections. By boycotting, that's the consequence that they cannot put a candidate forward for MRC because they have nobody there. So they know, they are very much aware that the law is clear. Okay, now, what is happening? The president of MRC, CRM, suddenly says he's going to be a candidate. And when you say such a thing, in such circumstances, what do you expect? There's going to be count of offenses, and things like that. And it will go to and fro. One another, there's going to be tension. Everybody wants to justify his own side of the story. Meanwhile, these things were things which ought to have been prepared long time ago. I've earlier said that if you turn yourself into a banana, monkeys will eat you. If in a political atmosphere you don't know how to negotiate, you think that creating conflict will help you, it's going to be a boomerang. On the contrary, because by creating that conflict, you are the one who's going to be hit first. So before the tension, before the Minister of Territory comes in, and before the minister comes in to say one or two things, who created the tension first of all? By going to court, you've created it. So why you live in it, you want to complain? They knew that going to court is going to have consequences. You know, what they call juge de référé. The juge de référé doesn't give title to anything. People don't know. The juge de référé handles issues that have to do with emergency or issues which you cannot dispute. But the juge de référé doesn't have a right to determine who is president of whatever party or whatever. Even his decision, that same president called juge de référé, he can take his job today and tomorrow he changes it. Because it depends on urgency, emergency. In any case, once you have a court order, it is open for interpretation. Everybody will interpret it in his own style. And because that divergence of opinion, what is that going to do with tension? Don't blame the administration. The administration is even putting more water on the tension that these guys are building. Because it's opposition that's building the tension. And when they come and water it down, they complain. How can you be afraid of your creation? All those people created by the CPDM, why can you be afraid of them? No. The CPDM is not afraid of anything.
Welcome back. Those were interviews of the week. Mr. President, talking about the regional assemblies in the Northwest and Southwest regions, there's been an issue about how much autonomy these institutions have and what they can really do without the influence of the central administration. Can you carry on with projects within your area of command in the Southwest region without the approval of the central administration?
No, I think I agree with Senator Belamopi. We have to do a lot to change the mindset of the regional assembly. We have administrative and financial autonomy. And we have our defined areas of intervention. The state has said to, we have devolved these powers to you in this domain, in this domain, in this domain. Once the resources are put at our disposal, we try now, after consulting the local population, we see how we can intervene in those domains. We don't consult them. We don't consult Yaoundé or the central administration before intervening. If we want to build, for example, I give you an example. We want to build, I will give an example. The Ministry of Secondary Education developed, transfer some resources to us. Build, equip. We have decided. Okay, they didn't impose on us. We are building in Government Bilingual High School, Bonadikongo, my friend, in Limbe. We are building a pedagogic block, a story building, 8 classrooms, 4 offices for administrative staff, 4 toilets. We are building in Kumba. We are building in Kondotiti. They didn't tell us build here, build here. We decide. So that is what decentralization is all about. The central authority has devolved part of its authority to decentralized structures. Do this provided you do it in accordance with the law.
What do you tell those who think that there is an issue with the fact that the regional assemblies can only deliberate and cannot legislate, cannot make laws?
Because we are not legislators. We are not legislators. We are a regional authority. We are not legislators. Only legislators can make laws. We are not legislators. That is a simple explanation. So for those of them who have the basic knowledge of law, they should know why we cannot legislate. We are not legislators. We are a deliberative organ. We take a decision that we want to do this. The executive proposes to the deliberative organ. The deliberative organ validates it. If it is not in contradiction with the law, if it is out of our area of competence, because this arrangement is not only in Cameroon. If you have gone, you have been to South Africa, it's the same arrangement that in South Africa they have the local councils, they have the provincial government, and they have the central government. It's the same arrangement.
Mr. President, we want to know some of the challenges that the Southwest Regional Council or Regional Assembly has been facing on the ground in the discharge of its duties, in the fulfillment of its missions in that part of the country.
The challenge we have is that our contractors complain that access to some of the localities where they have to execute their projects is a bit difficult, although they are making enormous efforts. Because you agree with me, somebody wins a contract to build a classroom in Boya, it's in the town of Boya. Another one in Akwaya, just the transportation of building materials, etc., is a bit difficult. So those are the challenges. But what is important for us is the measures and that you take to overcome those challenges. That is one of the challenges that we have. The other challenge that we have, which when we started, the people who were creating a problem, we were afraid that they would disturb the execution of our projects in the field. But to our greatest dismay, we learned that some of them were collaborating with us to execute those projects. Because maybe, and I want to think, and I may think rightly, that they also felt that they are also beneficiaries of those micro projects. I want to say that we don't carry it out, we don't execute very big projects like the state, for 2 reasons. First, our allocations are not as big as that of the state. Secondly, we don't have the necessary manpower to embark on very ambitious projects. But for the ones that we do, the state has been very generous to us to put our disposal engineers and technicians of our devolved services who work with us as contract engineers. If we have a project for building construction, for example, we lease with the delegate of public works. If we have a project for electrification, a delegate of water and energy, and that is how we operate. If we have something for equipment of a health facility, the medical doctor, either the regional delegate of public health or the director of the hospital, they work with us as the engineer in that domain. But eventually, we'll also, that's another challenge that we have. Eventually, we shall have our own technicians that we can work with.
What about financial constraints? Are you receiving the financial resources that you expect that you need to carry on with the different projects from the Yaoundé administration?
When it was announced initially that budgetary allocations of 3 billion has been put at the level of regional authorities, some people thought that the government would take 3 billion and give to the president to put in the safe or give to the regional treasury to put. That is not how public finances work. Government does not have 3 billion to give at the beginning of the year. A budget is an estimate of revenue and expenditure. You make a projection to see that this year I will have as revenue 3 billion, and then you try to see how you can spend the 3 billion. That's exactly how we function. So when now budget, the government tells us that you have this amount of money at the beginning of the year, on the strength of that, we draw up a budget. Progressively, as we are executing the budget, government is making available the funds to settle the bills. That is how we function. So between January and December, by December, we must have executed the budget and the corresponding payment follows. So nobody should deceive you, even a private enterprise. Like Brazaris will not tell you that I have 100 billion in the bank, in our coffers to carry out activities within. They know that progressively as we are working, the revenue is coming in. With that revenue, now I can carry out my actions and activities. So that's how we function.
Are you saying that the regional assembly of the Southwest region depends totally on state subsidies, state subvention, resources from the central administration?
For now, the regional assemblies function with subsidies from the states. This is the second year. Some ministerial departments which have devolved competencies to the regional assemblies have made allocations, investment allocation, put it at the disposal of the regional assembly. So that's how we function. You know very well, like I do, you are a journalist, that during the last session of Parliament voted the law on local finances. So when that law will go operational, I think the financial resources of regional authorities and also local authorities will increase to enable us to carry out more projects in the interest of our communities.
Can you give us some figures of the budget of the Southwest Regional Assembly for the current financial year?
We have 3 billion, it is no secret, from the General Decentralization Fund. Since we started, it's 3 billion from the General Decentralization Fund. Of those 3 billion, 2 billion are for investment. And government is very categorical on that. Our regional assemblies were created to improve on the living conditions of the people. So it is only by investing, carry out social projects which will improve on the living condition of the people. We have sector ministries which have transferred to us a total of 1,510,000,000. So we have 4,510,000,000 as our budget. But of that 4,510,000,000, 1 billion is for the running. We have salaries to pay. We have electricity. We have stationaries to buy, etc., etc. We have allowances to pay to regional councillors when they come for sessions. There are 5 sessions, so that one falls within the 1 billion for running the running budget of the regional assembly.
Your mandate is soon coming to an end. Do you plan to continue?
To be ambitious is not a bad thing. But the person who has the final decision, there are two people. We go into a political party. You must have the investiture of the party. And secondly, after having been invited by the party, you go in for election. So if the electorate decides to vote you again, then you come back. But to be ambitious is a normal thing. You can be ambitious and the end result is not what you thought. So you first have to work hard to win the confidence of the party which gave you investiture during the first mandate. You know, elections in the regional assembly is not a popular election. It's not by universal suffrage. We have two types of elections in Cameroon. We are elected in the regional assembly just like senators are elected. So we have an electoral college. Our electoral college are municipal councils. They are the ones who vote regional assemblies.
Mr. President, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest in this edition of The Insight. Thank you for the insights you've shared with us in this edition of the program.
You're welcome, Mr. Bobby. I'm always available anytime that you think I can talk to your television, Equinoxe. I think I will be very prepared to do that.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this edition of the program. You can follow us on a social media handle on Facebook and YouTube. You can also follow the rebroadcast of the program on Friday at 5 p.m. Thank you so much for staying with us. God bless Cameroon.